What is going on, everyone? I am Grumpy Koala, and today we're going to be taking a look at Viper on Breeze. We're going to be breaking down some of the lineups and setups that I use on this map, as well as the ones that I found best in lower ELO, because as you might be able to tell from the title, my goal here is to give you some quick, easy lineups if you have to play Viper, or if you're really into learning Viper right now, so that way you can easily get some nice wins, pick up some easy kills, and do even more with Viper on Breeze. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So we're going to start off with the defensive position on A, and there's one setup that I prefer most out of anything on this site on Breeze, and that is first we're going to set up the wall. If you line up right here, you can it's not really hard to do lineups with Viper when it comes to her wall, because you can see exactly where it'll extend. But if you kind of go to the left of mid doors, you can see that it'll cut off pretty much all of elbow, and therefore let's just put it up real quick. It'll once we put it up, it'll do two things for you. One, you'll be able to peek out right here and get some easy kills, because if they're going through mid, they're going to have to come out of there, and they're going to be blind, and you're going to have a perfect headshot opportunity. Also, you can easily come out here and get a nice view of elbow without them seeing you from all the way during mid. So along with that, once we put this back up, you'll see that from here, who's ever covering mid on your team will have a nice opportunity to watch elbow, because they'll have to peek out of your wall in order to come mid from elbow. So that's the first part of the setup on A. It's really useful. And the next one is, obviously, if they don't go mid or elbow, you can also control A main by just putting up your orb right here. Personal preference for where you want to put it out. You can put it a little bit further back if you want it to block more on this side and have to peek out completely. So this way you can come here, and then you'll see them as soon as they walk out. I prefer putting it out a little bit more, so that way I can hear them walk out of A main, and then I can put a molly down, and then it'll be that is that, and they're just dead. So that's all we have for A. So let's move on to B. So now let's take a look at B site on defense with Viper. As I mentioned before, we're doing just one set of lineups or setups per site. That way you can really just work on this if you're learning or brand new to Viper. So one of the things I like doing with the wall is setting it up here. As you can see, it covers all of mid. You'll see why it covers all of mid in a second, and then covers elbow as well as the push out from B main. So if we put this up, let's cover where the box is on elbow. You'll see that because when you face up a little bit, that it actually covers all of mid. So it covers everything here, and if we make it over to mid real quick, you'll see that it covers everything. So they're going to have to peek out of it no matter what they do, unless they push on to A. I really like that, especially if you have somebody on A watching mid doors. That way they can't get there without anybody seeing. And then next is the orb. So there's a couple options for the orb. So one is you can double down on B main with an orb right here, because it obviously covers everything. But I would say that my favorite one is to put it around this peak right here, because that way if they push onto site, you can just kill them right here. Could have probably put that orb a little bit better, so they have to peek out of it completely. But I'd say that's probably my favorite option for the orb. And then the last one is around mid. So that way if they maybe get mid control, you can either put it elbow to make them, again, peek out of a double wall and orb, or you can just put it here, and then they have to peek onto B with it. Obviously, again, placement of the orb is up to personal preference. Depends how you like it. But those are basically the best setups for B. I've seen a lot of success with that. And then from there, you can basically do whatever you want. The final orb, actually, before I forget, is you could obviously put it on default. However, once they see your orb, they probably won't place it there. One of the reasons why this is so valuable is if you put your orb up, and let's say you're right here, you can always just molly it as they're planting, and then possibly just a free kill as you're defending site. So it's really up to you. I just definitely recommend hopping into a custom, seeing which one you like the best, and then moving on from there. So with that, let's get on to offense and check out some lineups. Obviously, I didn't take a look at many of the molly lineups on defense, because you really already have site control since you're on defense, and you should really just molly where appropriate. So obviously if like they have back sight here and they're pushing up from there, you could always molly back there. So I don't think the lineups on defense are as important to memorize, but when we get onto offense, I'll give you some there. All right, let's take a look at a site now on offense. Once again, we're just covering the best examples, so if you need to hop into a Viper game, you can do it really quickly. So my favorite wall to do on this site is walking up to about this corner, and you can see from the mini map where it'll cut off. So you have a few options here depending on how the enemies are playing it. If they're playing it really close to A with an op or something on the far side, on the right side of pyramid, then you can definitely cut it off more. My preference more so is to make sure that they can't be in the little cubby right here. So I don't like to wall that off, which you do end up doing if you do the wall over on this direction. So I like cutting off mid pyramids as well as back sight and leaving this options right here for us to push on my team. So if you set this up a little bit up in the air so it goes as long as possible, you'll see that I didn't put it up yet, that it covers nicely. So as you're peeking out here, you can see where the enemies are. If they're over there, they'll have to peek through the wall, or they'll have to be pushed up to right here. And then obviously if they're in this corner, you can just shoot them or molly them from right here. And that molly is easy to hit even from about right here. So those are great options when you are pushing on the site and trying to get site control. Always remember to shout out to your teammates when your wall is going down. You don't want them to be caught right here as your wall is dropping, and then they can shoot you from anywhere. So with the orb goes with the lineups. Now that we're on offense, we can do some nice little molly lineups and kill the enemies while they're defusing. And Viper has the ability to really keep the enemies off the bomb for an extended period of time. So we're going to start with just putting the molly, or not the molly, the orb in default, and then we'll come over here, and then we'll show you where the molly lineup is. So you're going to activate the orb. We don't need to activate it right now, but you're going to want to walk into this corner right here. Anywhere about correct is good. And what you want to do is, I'll put an arrow on the screen as well, but your lower left corner of your abilities, or the poison bar, so you'll see right there while I'm putting a arrow on, you're going to want to match it with the corner of that steel frame, so the top left to the bottom left of those, and then you're just going to want to click. Then if we walk over here so we can see it land, see, it hits perfectly. And then if we activate the orb, plant the bomb right here, we're all good to go. So right there, you can probably keep them off for a long time, especially if you have a teammate watching main, so you know if they're pushing in anywhere here. If you have a Killjoy, a Chamber, a Cypher, any of that fun stuff, I would highly recommend asking them to put a trip or a slow back here, so that way you know when they're pushing through, because you don't want to just be sitting here with your lineup ready and then just get killed from behind. The lineup, once you get used to it, is pretty quick to set up. You just bump a bow and then you're ready to go. But still, you don't want to be shot in the back of the head as the team's trying to retake A. So that's about it for A site on offense. Those are the best ones that I found. So let's take a look over at B site. So over here at B, you're going to be pushing on from B elbow in order to like get onto site. So the important thing with the wall here is to remember that you need to block off the enemies while not blocking out your teammates. Just always remember that. So after the start of the round, you're going to want to walk up some, because if you put your wall here, you're going to block off some of your teammates as they push elbow or push B main. So once you walk up here, the best ones for walls that I've noticed is going around B wall, so the short wall, because this will cut off McDonald's or arches. It'll cut off B tunnel if they're trying to push from mid nest. And then you can kind of take site control and have your team push on here and try to take care of it, whether there's 1 or 2 people on B. So let's put this up. Put the wall up, and see that covers really nicely. So when you're pushing on, all you got to worry about is here. Maybe if they're pushing through wall there, cover here, cover there, and then come around and do that. Reduces the places by about 4 that you have to check, because as wall goes down, you can see when you come out here, you have to check mid. As you push out more, you have to check nest, and you'd have to check right of short wall, left of short wall, and as you get over here, you'd have to check arches as well. So just reducing the amount of places you have to check with the wall is the key. So even if you don't use this wall, I would highly recommend hopping into some customs and seeing what walls cut off the most for enemies without impacting your own team's ability to see. So now let's take a look at the orb as well as the molly. So default, obviously with this site, is about here. So we can just put the molly anywhere about there. So let's put it up real quick and see it covers a pretty good distance. Put it down. This molly lineup is pretty easy too. Same with the A site lineup though. I would highly recommend having a sentinel or someone watch the back with an alarm or a slow or anything, so you know if anybody's pushing up from mid or from your spawn, rotating or lurking from A. So the molly here, all you gotta do is pull it out, and then you'll see these little like stain lines here. You're gonna want to go to the lowest one, just walk right at it, and then you're gonna see this little cannon right here. Once again, I'll put arrows on the screen just to make sure it's as clear as possible, but we're going to want to raise it up so that the little 100, which obviously if you're using your orb won't be 100, but the counter for your remaining venom is going to be at the bottom there. So that way when we do that, we're just going to do a normal click. We'll run over to site so you can see where it lands, and boom. Easy lineup, covers everything. We put up the orb. It'll be, you can literally plant even with a little bit. If they plant near over here or a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, it covers everything that you need to. And it's super easy to memorize. Like I said, just go back and just watch that. It's just so easy, super quick to do it once you get used to it. And that's about it. So we've covered best lineup on A for offense and defense, best lineups on B for offense and defense. And honestly, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I'm not going super in depth. I'm not doing 10 lineups on each site because my goal here is to introduce the newer players that are playing Viper or the ones that are in gold or even lower the chance to have quick, easy lineups, because not everyone has the time to watch hours and hours of footage and tutorials and then practicing customs and go through all that mess. So I would say just stick to these and you'll be at least good enough to get some kills, get some choke points, and maybe win some more games. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. I will also link some more in-depth tutorials from other content creators as well in the description. So if you are looking to get more into Viper, you can check those out. Obviously, some of the content creators like Brush are great Viper players, and they make great content. I would highly recommend checking them out if you are planning on playing Viper more and you have some more free time. So without further ado, have a good one, and I will see you all later.